Welcome to Sports Authority Field in Denver, where the Patriots' miraculous run of success dealing with injuries has come to an end. New England Patriots come up short in the AFC Championship to a red-hot Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. 26-16 was the final here at Sports Authority Field. I'm Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Chris Price, expert analyst for the Patriots on WEEI.com. Chris, what happened? Was it just too much Peyton Manning and not enough of big plays from Tom Brady?
I think there's something to that. I think it was a tremendous performance from Peyton Manning on a couple of different levels. First of all, he was able to put together long, sustained drives, and especially at this altitude, especially against a defense that's had more than its share of injury, I think it ultimately took a toll. We saw that great drive that he was able to assemble at the start of the second half that really effectively ended the game. It's also, frankly, the injury to Aqib Talib forced some guys into situations that maybe they shouldn't be forced into at this stage of their careers. Logan Ryan had to step up. Alfonso Dennard had to step up. They weren't able to do it with the game on the line.
And talking to Alfonso Dennard after the game, he told me that, it was frustrating seeing Aqib Talib going out on pick plays. And I asked Dennard specifically, were you expecting this, watching the film of the Broncos, to see that many pick plays from the Broncos offense?
I think that's a good point. I think when we saw Denver run that passing game, they ran a lot of what they call man beaters, that stuff underneath, and those pick plays. Right. They were able to find a lot of success with that, and it ultimately cost the Patriots today. And I think it was a group of defensive backs who maybe weren't completely prepared for the stage. I thought it was very interesting to hear Bill Belichick in the postgame talk about how everyone could have done things better, including me, especially me. He took a lot of it on himself. You were talking to him during that press conference. He seemed especially culpable, I guess is the word.
And emotional.
Exactly, and emotional when it came to this loss. I will say that this team probably got as far as it deserved to get. I think when you look at the run of injuries it had, when you look at the fact that it was going up against Peyton Manning on the road in this kind of situation, that's a lot to ask of any defense, especially in this situation.
Did you think, point blank, that it was an illegal pick by Wes Welkers on Aqib Talib?
That's tough. I would have to go back and take a look at the film, but it's something that hasn't been called in the past before. I will say that. I think you can make an argument that it was offensive pass interference. I think you make a real argument that it was offensive pass interference, but again, you'd have to take a really hard look at the film. I know that a lot of people have spoken both ways on the situation. Right. But I think the loss of Talib, again, ultimately was a domino effect. I think that, again, a lot of those guys had to step up and make plays in that kind of situation, and they just weren't able to do it.
Well, and obviously there was a very eerie correlation back to last year's AFC Championship at Gillette Stadium when Talib went out against the Baltimore Ravens. Anquan Boldin goes off in the second half, and the Ravens marched to the Super Bowl. Really, it had the same sort of effect. I know you're writing, or had pointed out earlier, that the big drive for you was the first drive of the second half. To me, though, the biggest drive of the game changer, the season ender for the Patriots, was that 93-yard drive by Peyton Manning, in which they lost to Aqib Talib for the rest of the game. I thought when they went down and punched it in, to me, that was just a killer for the Patriots, emotionally and otherwise.
It was difficult to overcome. And this was a team, too, when you consider all of the elements that go into good complementary football. They were not getting consistent offensive performance. They weren't getting a good, consistent offensive performance. They weren't able to make the stops on third down when they needed. They were able to get some good work out of special teams, particularly Ryan Allen, who was able to kind of tilt the field in their favor a few times in the first half there. But it just wasn't good complementary football by the Patriots here in this situation.
How much of this game is on Tom Brady?
I think there's an element that's on Tom Brady here. He was able to not connect, I think, with Edelman.
A couple of times,
exactly.
Actually.
Edelman, Amendola, I think some of it's on Amendola as well. I think this game really, in a lot of ways, serves as an indictment of Amendola and what he was not able to do over the course of the season. Vereen was a consistent offensive presence. Edelman really was a good, consistent offensive presence, but they didn't get anything else from anyone this afternoon.
And I'm going to tell you something, Chris. In the locker room afterwards, the guy that impressed me as most impacted, most affected by this was Julian Edelman. He took his time getting dressed. He turned around. Most of his answers at the start were one word. And then when the questions began about how tough this was, he was very emotional, and he physically had to fight off tears, talking about what this game, what this team, what this season meant to him. Here's the question that he didn't want to address, and understandably so. Will he be back with the Patriots in 2014?
I think he will be, but I think at the same time there are a lot of other questions that this team has when it comes to when it comes to free agent possibilities. It's not just Edelman. It's Blunt, who told me in the locker room after the game that he was interested in coming back in 2014. Talib, Spikes. There are a lot of questions with this team, free agent-wise, going forward that are going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out this offseason.
And Bill Belichick said that process, when does it begin? Monday. He is not wasting any time, nor does he ever. It's one way Bill Belichick has always gotten over emotionally difficult losses. Get back to work the next day. And that's what these New England Patriots figure to do on Monday. They come up short in the AFC Championship game, a team that battled through injuries all season long, lost 4 starters on defense, and lost Rob Gronkowski with a month to go in the year. They get to the AFC Championship, but fall short to Peyton Manning, who had 400 yards passing on 43 attempts. He was 32 of 43, 2 touchdowns. The final, the Broncos 26 and the Patriots 16. It's been a wonderful season, everybody, here at Mile High Sports Authority Field at Mile High. For Christopher Price, I'm Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com.